Jane Goodall, the British primatologist, etiologist, anthropologist, and United Nations Messenger of Peace. She is known for her dedicated work in studying the social and family interactions of wild chimpanzees for over 45 years at the Gom Stream National Park in Tanzania. Jane was born April 3, 1934 in London, England. When she was younger, her father gave her a lifelike chimpanzee toy, and her fondness for the toy started her early love of animals. When it came time for her to go to college, her mother could not afford to send her to a university. So Jane learned how to be a secretary and worked for a time at Oxford University typing documents. Then she got a job with filmmakers choosing music for their documentaries. In 1956, Jane went to Africa with a friend and met Dr. Louis S.B. Leakey, a famous anthropologist and paleontologist. He hired her as his assistant/secretary at the Corydon Museum. Soon after that, Jane and a student were in the Old Vi Gorge digging up fossils. After that, Dr. Leakey sent Jane to Tanzania to study the chimpanzees. Jane had no scientific training before she set up camp in Tanzania's Gom Stream Game Reserve to observe the chimpanzees, but that didn't stop her from making important observations of the chimpanzees. Throughout her observations, she discovered that 2 chimps had stripped leaves off twigs to make tools for fishing termites out of a termite mound. Until that time, scientists thought humans were the only species to make tools. She also observed chimps hunting and eating bush pigs and other small animals. Also, until that time, scientists thought that chimpanzees were primarily vegetarians. To be taken seriously by other scientists, Jane needed a doctorate. In 1962, Jane entered Cambridge University as a doctorate candidate, one of the very few people to be admitted without a college degree. She earned her PhD in etiology, the study of animal behavior, in 1966.
Jane and her husband, photographer and filmmaker Hugo van Leeuwenhoek, started the Gom Stream Research Center in 1965.
Throughout Jane's research, it became clear that chimpanzees had a dark side, just like human beings. Jane and other researchers noticed that when a female chimp they named Passion and her daughter Palm killed and ate several infant chimps. They also observed a period of conflict between different chimpanzee groups. In early 1974, members of the Kasakela group attacked and killed members of the Kahama group until all the Kahama chimps were gone. The Gom researchers called the event the 4-Year War. Chimpanzees also demonstrated cooperation, affection, happiness, sometimes even seemed to help each other. In 1987, Jane and her field staff were surprised when little Mel, who was an orphan, was adopted by the male adolescent Spindle. Spindle would share his nest, food, and even came to Mel's defense when he got in the way of the big, older males behaving aggressively. There's no doubt that Spindle saved Mel's life. With these newly discovered interactions, chimpanzee researchers are learning more and more about their cohabitant species. Jane has helped many researchers with their studies on the chimpanzees, but one of the most important studies have been researched by Dr. Beatrice Hahn, who, with the help of Jane's research, has been studying the simian immunodeficiency virus at Gom. The virus is the precursor and origin of the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV. It accounts for most cases of AIDS around the world. The simian immunodeficiency virus has never been found to cause immune system failure in wild chimpanzees until Dr. Hahn and Jane discovered that SIV-positive chimps at Gom suffer between 10 to 16 more times the risk of death at a given age than SIV-negative chimps. An AIDS-like illness seemed to be killing some of the Gom chimps, but with this discovery it also carries huge potential significance for AIDS research in humans. In 1977, Jane founded the Jane Goodall Institute. It has programs designed to benefit people who are living in poverty in Africa and to spread the word about the importance of conserving the forest and animal populations. Jane ended her career as a field biologist in 1986. Since then, she has lived as an advocate. Her first cause was improving the grim treatment inflicted on chimpanzees held in many medical labs. Combining her toughness and moral outrage with her personal charm and willingness to interact graciously, she achieved some negotiated successes. She also founded sanctuaries for chimps that could be freed from captivity. She established the Jane Goodall's Roots and Shoots program, encouraging young people around the world to become active in projects that promote greater concern for animals, the environment, and the human community. She now spends about 300 days a year on the road, giving countless interviews and schoolroom talks, lecturing in big venues, meeting with government officials, raising money to turn the wheels of the Jane Goodall Institute. 50 years ago, Louis Leakey sent Jane to study chimpanzees because he thought their behavior might cast light on human ancestors. Jane ignored that part of the mandate and studied chimps for their own sake, their own interests, their own value. While doing that, she created institutions and opportunities that have yielded richly in the work of other scientists, as well as a luminous personal example that has brought many young women and men into science and conservation. All in all, Jane's life and work have been very, very influential. What the heck are you guys doing? Alright, you guys ready?
No, Jane! No, Jane!